These PlayStation 2 games have to be some of my favorite ones that you definitely need. Let's go ahead and talk about 7 PlayStation 2 games that you definitely need in your collection. And this is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, go ahead, go back, check that out, and let me know what you think. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some games. Before we get into actually talking about the games, I do want to say all of these games on this list are from my collection. So if you have a PlayStation 2 and you love the games, but I don't mention any, make sure you comment them down below. That way, maybe I or other people can find them and have some fun too. The first game we have to talk about is a game that I really enjoyed back in the day, and I still have a ton of fun playing it, and it might technically be based off of nostalgia, but this game is a ton of fun, and that is Freakstyle. Now, this is a motocross game where you basically race through it and do a bunch of awesome tricks. There is also like a trick mode where you try to get a ton of points. And overall, this is just an awesome game that I really enjoy playing on my PlayStation 2. If I'm only gonna play for maybe like 15 or 30 minutes, this game is perfect for it. I can pop it in, play it, race it. It's got some amazing tricks. It looks actually pretty decent. It's got a bunch of over-the-top characters with one-liners and customizations. So this is one of those games that's actually pretty fun from the PlayStation 2 that I think kind of gets overlooked now. This next game is a pretty fun kind of open world, I'd say kind of because it's not fully open world, but it's a 3D platformer that's actually a ton of fun, and that is Tack and the Power of Juju. Now, I played this probably through a year or two ago, and I really enjoyed this game. I missed out on it for whatever reason whenever I had my PlayStation 2 originally, but when I played back through this game, this was awesome, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it's one of those games that I need to go through the second one again because it's been so long, but I really think that this is a game that's weird, it's wacky, it's in the middle of the jungle, so the artwork is awesome, all the controls feel pretty good for being a PlayStation 2 game, and I feel like this is one of those games that should be mentioned on a PlayStation 2 list anytime we're talking about maybe the top 50 or maybe the top 25, because this is a really fun game and there's multiples of it, which is even better. The next game we absolutely have to talk about is Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. Now, this took what Tony Hawk's Pro Skater did well and kind of made it more of an open world and kind of more of a 3D kind of feel to it, and it was a ton of fun and always awesome. Any of the Tony Hawk games are always fun to play except a few of the later ones, but this game is amazing. Now, I have a story about this game. When I played it for the very first time, it was actually at a dentist's office. I'd never played other than the Pro Skater games at the time, so I sat down and they used to have kiosks that had like 4 TVs in a row, and this was one of the games, and I was like, I love Tony Hawk, but I've never played this game, so I ended up playing it, had a ton of fun, ended up getting it like a year or two later, and ever since picking this game up, I've always loved it. I've always loved just throwing this in the system and having some fun, whether it is 15 minutes or maybe I'm gonna spend multiple hours on it. This game is always entertaining and always awesome. If you are enjoying this video right now and you are not subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. 75% of people that watch my channel aren't actually subscribed. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell while you're at it, and let's get back to talking about the games. This next game was technically based on a movie, but that movie was based on a comic, so I don't know how to say what it's based off of, but SpiderMan on the PlayStation 2 was totally amazing. I cannot believe when this came out, it was just so awesome. I do have one really cool story. When this came out, a few of the blockbusters, and I don't know if it was nationally or in the area, were actually selling like chances to win a life-size version of Spider-Man, and my uncle ended up getting it, and so he had it in like the corner of the room in his house, so I always saw that and loved it. But I love this game. It's a ton of fun. Anytime you can be Spider-Man and swing around a city on webs, it's just always awesome. But this game, for whatever reason, still stands up to time, and it's a ton of fun. Eventually, some of those older Spider-Man games, maybe like the one on the 64, it's just kind of repetitive and the same thing. But I like the open world aspect of this one. You can kind of do what you want, which is pretty cool. So I definitely feel like this one is a game that you should definitely have in your PlayStation 2 collection. Who doesn't absolutely love Grand Theft Auto? And I couldn't really decide which one of these I wanted to talk about, whether GTA 3, San Andreas, or Vice City needed to make this on the list. So I just went ahead and included the trilogy. This is an amazing game. If you've ever played Grand Theft Auto, it was probably one of these back in the day. And so if you have a PlayStation 2 and you want to have a ton of fun, I think GTA is one of those games that is just a staple that you should have in your collection. It's probably one of the top 10 games on the PlayStation 2. I'm not going to pick which one, but Grand Theft Auto in general. This game obviously is rated M, so if you're younger, sometimes maybe you don't want to play this game, but it's an awesome Rockstar game. There's just so much fun about it, whether it's going around and doing objectives or just screwing around and pissing cops off. It doesn't really matter. This game is one that you should have, and it's a ton of fun. We just talked about driving around and pissing cops off, but have you ever thought about driving around and shooting in games? Well, if you haven't and you haven't played this game, you should definitely pick up Twisted Metal Black. This is one of those games from back in the day. Any Twisted Metal game that came out, I was playing it because it was a ton of fun. I remember playing the old Destruction Derby games and really enjoyed those. So when this came out, I knew I had to pick this up. It was a ton of fun. Like I said, who doesn't like shooting things while driving from a car? It just is so ridiculous. I kind of like the horror theme that kind of is entraced into this game, and I think that really goes with this well because of kind of the aesthetic of kind of horror, dark, scary kind of feeling. I really enjoyed this game, and that's why I feel like it needs to make it on this list. And plus, if you're watching this when I posted it, it's already October, so like Halloween's coming up. You should maybe think about playing this one. Last but not least, might be one of my favorites on the list, and I know that's hard to say, but Castlevania Lament of Innocence is so much fun. Now, I am a big fan of Castlevania games, so pretty much any of them make it onto my list of console editions. So this one on the PS2 is so much fun. I love kind of how they took the kind of old classic Castlevania and made it a 3D version, and really, it does look really good. This is another one of those games that's got kind of the Halloween vibes, the spooky vibes. As we talked about Twisted Metal Black already, this one kind of fits in the same vein, whereas you're more like hunting kind of monsters and stuff like that. So if you're into that kind of spookier stuff, this one is pretty awesome. This is rated M for mature, like the other earlier games were, so maybe think about that if you're younger, but overall, this is a game that you should definitely have on your PlayStation 2. So there we go. That is 7 games from the PlayStation 2 that I think you should definitely have in your collection. So if there's games that I missed, comment down below and let me know, but with that being said, that's all I got. Peace.